Hi, Karen.
Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
So let's make sure you can share your screen before we get started. And I'm just going to be quiet and in the background.
Okay.
If
And
you
do you make
want,
Kelly, do you make Kelly well, will you make Kelly a panelist?
yeah, sure.
Okay, when she comes on.
And then if you want, I can keep an eye on the chat. And then if there's questions, I can pitch them to you.
Perfect.
Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can't get to the thing here. Where'd it go? Slideshow.
And we got Sue Harrison on. Hi, Sue. And Cindy Ponder. That name is familiar, but I can't remember where from. So we got people popping on. That's good.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can't hear you real well anymore. What happened?
I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, I guess you're just further away.
It shouldn't be, but I can put earplugs in if I need to.
Nope, there we go.
Okay, that's really strange.
Yeah, sounds better now.
Okay, good. Okay, and you said we have Sue Harrison on?
Sue's on, Cindy Ponder, Jeff Khalil. I know Jeff. Collins Harlan. Maybe that's Harlan Collins. Everybody wants to hear what you got to say.
As long as I get to take some value away, we'll be in good shape.
Right? I don't see Kelly yet.
Okay. She's going to be at the chamber office, which for some reason that computer doesn't have video on it. So
Okay.
I'm sure you're just like myself. You're just going from one meeting to the next.
Right. All day today.
Exactly. Okay, now sharing my screen like this, I can't see the chat at all. You'll have to see it all, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Give a few more minutes for people to come on. We're still a few minutes early.
Were you just talking?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're cutting in and out. It's kind of weird. That whatever you said last, it was just really, really muffled. But then when you said yes, it was fine.
Let me put on headphones then.
I wonder if it's, yeah, if it's your microphone. What kind of microphone do you have?
Let's see if this is any better.
All right, so far so good.
Okay.
What kind of microphone do you have?
I just had the mic on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So now I put in headphones.
Yep. Okay.
It had been working great. I don't know what was going on. I don't know. On a couple other Zooms this morning, things were acting strange on different people. So,
Diane Carson says, hi, Karen and Will.
oh, awesome. Diane's on here. Diane, can you just not get enough? You've already seen this once. I love Diane. She's amazing.
Cindy says, can't talk. How do I get sound on iPad? So yeah, you won't be able to talk. You'll just be able to use the chat. But you should be able to hear us. Yes, I can. Okay, she can hear us.
Awesome.
All right, I am going to mute myself and it's all yours.
Okay, sir, I appreciate it. Well, first of all, we want to say welcome to our first virtual event with the Fenton Chamber. We're trying to adapt and still take care of our members and give them exactly what they need. And so we're starting with the first one. And this one, of course, you're going to find out a little bit more about networking, but I want you to be aware of the fact that we have one coming up every week for several weeks now. Next Wednesday, April 15th at 11:30 is Kathy Sexton, the productivity expert, and she's speaking on the de-stressed zone. So you can be de-stressed, not de-stressed. And then on Wednesday, April 22nd at 11 a.m. Now you'll notice next week is 11:30. After that, it's going to be 11 a.m. We'll have Martin Kilgoy with the sports. He's the director at KTVI TV Fox 2. Stay tuned for more information. And on Wednesday, April 29th at 11 o'clock, you'll get to hear the amazing Will Hankey, who you're already hearing from today. And he's going to get, his is on Get Unstuck, Optimize Your Website for More Google Love. Well, let's get started today. And we're going to talk about, well, maybe we will, maybe we won't. It's not wanting to go anywhere. There we go. Keep up your momentum networking online. Right now, everybody doesn't have a choice since everyone is quarantined and you're having to work from home, but you've still got to keep up business. If you wait till the end of this when it's all over and you're at the very end, you have waited too long. If you are not marketing and staying in front of your clients, you are going to lose your momentum and you will have to start over. The first place you need to start on your professional networking though is making sure you have a professional photo. That photo is very, very important. I didn't say you have to have a professional take it, but it needs to look professional, meaning it needs to have a solid background. I'm seeing right now a lot of people start doing things that are trying to be funny and trying to get people's attention. That's not the place to do it. Do it in your other parts of your marketing. They need to be able to come to your site, know it's you, and they need to see head and shoulders because that's the first place they start to know, like, and trust you. You'll see that amazing Fred Miller there has his hands out. That's okay because you can still see all of him and it still looks totally professional. The next thing is, do you know your perfect client? We talk about this all the time, but if you do not know your perfect client, how can you know where to network? And if you have not created your own, here's a form I created and you can go to KarenTheConnector.com/grow and you can download it. It's free download, but use that to build out and know exactly who you're talking to. Now for me, I feel like every company has 3 ideal clients. And so you can get into that a little bit more when you look at the grow portion of that. Do you have a concrete goal? When you went to networking offline, it's no different online. Did you have a goal? Was there a reason to be there? Were you trying to get people to understand your brand? Were you trying to sell to them? Were you trying lead generation for the pipeline you've got going? What were you trying to create with that goal? If you do not have a reason to network, why bother? Now, the biggest mistake people make online and offline is not following up. Now, I am not advertising for Trello in any way, but that is one great little place to have a CRM and keep track of everything. Now, I can tell you in the past, I made the mistake of not following up. Somebody go, you know, we need to chat. And if I didn't write it down, it wasn't going to happen. Or if somebody said, you know, I should work with you, why wouldn't I follow up with that? But we've got to have a way to do that. So make sure you're using a CRM of some kind. I'm going to ask you to put in the chat real quick and let Will come back on me. How many of you have a CRM that you're using, that you're keeping track of who you're talking to and what you've said to them and what their response is?
So Collins Harlan, I do.
Good.
Kathy Sexton, yes.
Kathy has a
Jeff,
great follow-up.
yep. Jeffrey Wolf and
Awesome.
Diane Carson uses Excel.
Okay. I don't care how you're keeping track, but you've got to keep track. Otherwise, people just drop off and you forget about them.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we got
Thank you.
Jeff Khalil says, I've tried a few, but have not settled on one yet. And Sally Fagala, I guess. I have one, but I don't use it regularly.
Okay. I am finding in this situation, because I want to make sure nothing falls through the cracks. And I don't know about you, but being online like this, I am busier than ever. And so I want to make sure I don't miss any of those people that have made those comments, whether it be gently made those comments or strongly made them. Of course, on Zoom right now, we're on it right now today. This is the perfect platform to use to be in contact with everyone and engaging. And there's more reasons for that just than the fact that you get to have a lot of people together. For one thing, are you like myself? And if you're on a phone call rather than Zoom, you tend to multitask. I think majority of us do that. However, when we're on Zoom and they can see our face, we don't multitask quite as much. And the other thing is you can tell if people are actually engaging with what you're saying or they're not if you're doing Zoom meetings, not the Zoom webinar, but the Zoom meetings. So using Zoom today, you can have a free platform and you can use up to 40 minutes. And for most people, that'll be fine. But otherwise, they're very inexpensive to use and to upgrade on Zoom. Now, I have a social media audit that's usually $297. And at the end, I'll tell you more about how you can get that for free. How's that? Right now, more important than ever is building relationships. All marketing is building a relationship. And you've got to make sure in these relationships that you're taking the time out to build them. How many of you have been on LinkedIn for over 2 years and not connected with people on there? How many? Share with me in the chat. Do you have people that haven't connected on LinkedIn
Here
in
they
a while?
come. Here they come.
Okay.
Collins, I'm guilty. Sally says, yep. Kelly says, I have LinkedIn, but rarely use it. And C.R. Kirsten, I haven't. And our
Okay.
friend Thad James says, yes.
Yes, absolutely. We all have those that we've sometimes, unfortunately, we can say we collected contacts on LinkedIn that we haven't taken the time to build those relationships. This is the time to do it. This is also the time when you're building those relationships to find the people that are influencers and start to build that relationship with them. Start commenting on their things, making comments to other people about them. But this is the place to start and build relationships like you have never built them before. Now, don't expect other people to make connections for you if you won't do the same for them. A big mistake a lot of us make is our friends and family don't all know what we really do. They kind of know. So this is an opportunity for us to actually get in contact with friends and family and spend a little bit of time. How many friends and family do you have no idea what they really do? You might know who they work for, but you don't really know what they do. This is that perfect time for that. Also avoid obvious template communications. If I sent Kathy Sexton a thing that says, we haven't talked in a long time, I would like to have a virtual coffee with you. Kathy would know immediately that that was a template that I just copied and pasted because we talk often. And so please make sure that if you're doing a template, and I suggest you start with a script, but customize it for what you're sending out and who you're sending it to. We've already discussed a little bit, but check out mutual friends and followers. It's a small world. It was interesting. I did one of these the other day, and someone I've known for many years was on the Zoom, and some of the other guests knew that same person from their past, hadn't seen them in many years. So again, you don't know who's connected to who. So I don't mean this in a negative, but take advantage of that. Reach out to those people. The number of followers you have is less important than the depth of the interactions to build relationships. And in my industry, we look at numbers constantly. However, I would rather have you connected to 50 people that is going to do business with you, or you have the opportunity to do business with, rather than 50,000. That 50,000 is not going to benefit you if they're not going to do business with you. Now pay attention to the tone of your online interactions. Pretend you're saying it to a real live group and it's just a group of friends or family. And if you wouldn't say it loud publicly, say it loud publicly, do not write it. I had a situation the other day. I was on a group chat with one that I had done one of these Zooms for, and they come back and they were saying great things and how much they loved it and everything about it. And I commented and she went, "Oh my, we really do have to pay attention, don't we?" She said, "I didn't know you were on this chat." Well, for her benefit, it was a great thing she was saying and I loved it, but could have been the other way around. If someone is doing something online right now, and they're doing something that made you laugh, or they said something brilliant, or they inspired you in any way, take the time to say that. Comment. Don't just like it. Don't just hit the like button. People don't pay attention to that. They pay attention to comments. So take the time for that. You know, there's two forms of embarrassment. There's a good embarrassment where people say things about you that embarrass you because they're good, and you just kind of blush over that. And there's a bad embarrassment when you say things that make people look bad or feel bad. So make sure you're using the right kind of embarrassment. Now, just like you wouldn't and you shouldn't today walk up to anybody's door and just plan to go in and start talking to them, you do the same thing online. It's building that relationship. So I start the conversation. The worst thing you can do is try to connect with someone and immediately come back and try to sell them. You have lost them. You have just totally wasted your time. So do not try to sell them before you build that relationship. I call this trying to marry me without a date. So make sure when you're building those relationships, you do build them. They happen over time. It's not immediate. Now, in some situations, it's okay to come back and say what you do if it's something that they're looking for, but on the whole, build, build, build. And scheduling is really important. Now, I don't care what scheduler you use. This is just an article I found on meeting schedulers. It's a whole article on different types of them. But rather than sending out information and not putting a link to schedule with you, that just takes more time for both of you. You send an email, they send one back, you send one back to them, they send one back to you. You waste a lot of time going back and forth. So there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, I would love to have a virtual coffee with you, and this is what I'd like to accomplish on this, and it's got to be twofold. And then here's a link, if this sounds good to you, that gives you my available times. And so you can create what's best for you. How many of you use a scheduler? Share in the chat if you're using a scheduler. And if you will, share which scheduler you're using.
So Sally says no. Kathy says book like a boss. That sounds
I
cool.
like that. I know.
Collins says, Thad says I should. And Thad says, not yet, but I need to. So I think you're off the hook, Collins. I think it's okay. Jeffrey Wolf, I don't use one. Jeff Khalil, I use Time Trade. Cindy Ponder, yes. Collins, LOL, and Jeff Wapple uses Outlook.
Okay. Now, Kathy, I think in the past you used Time Trade. Why have you went to this book like a boss?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm using one called Calendly, which interfaces with my Google Calendar. I'm sure a lot of them do, but that's really nice.
Right, that's what I use as well. But I'm interesting. When Kathy comes back with the answer to that, interrupt me if you would, please, Will.
Okay.
Believe it or not, the phone still works. I know it's old-fashioned, but it still works to pick up that phone and call people and talk to them. And it's funny lately because I keep going, call people and you put your fingers up like this and they're saying, no, it should be like this because it's our cell phone today.
Karen, Kathy says it allows me multiple pages and I also can sell my services.
Interesting. She may have to share more of that with us. Very good. Okay, so again, going back to using the phone, picking that phone up and calling. Now I made, and I won't call it a mistake, but I will say that when this first happened, so I'm calling and talking to friends. And if they're not friends that are encouraging you, first of all, cut that conversation short because, we are on a roller coaster. There is no doubt, but any entrepreneur knows that we have always been on a roller coaster and things change with our business. But knowing that, I have to make sure I'm setting aside certain times that I'm working. It's no different than in the past, but with all this going on and the turmoil and the chaos, a lot of people are just throwing out that work schedule and just doing whatever comes to mind. So making sure that if you're doing it just for fun and pleasure, try to do it off of your working time. This little tool right here I learned from Kathy Sexton, and it's called Otter.ai. Lovely little tool. The advantage to it is you can put Otter on while you're having a conversation. What I've been doing is when I'm coaching clients using it. And so I've got the full conversation, and rather than just being an audio, it types it out as a transcript for you. Beautiful little tool to use. Another area that people make mistakes, and I have just gotten 2 clients recently that have contacted me through my website. And the other thing I suggest, if you've not checked it recently, make sure your contact us is still working through your website. People, if they need to get a hold of you, they have to have a way to do it. Do you know LinkedIn has 294 million? Just million. There's a lot of advantage to LinkedIn. And I have to tell you, I'm spending more time personally on LinkedIn. And all of you know, Facebook is my forte. But using LinkedIn and joining groups. Now, when you join groups, there's 2 different reasons I use to join groups. First of all, one of the ways I like to join groups is we're in the same industry, because there is no way you can stay on top of everything, no matter what your industry is, daily. Mine's a little harder. It changes daily. So using these groups to stay on top of things. Then the other type of group that you want to be a part of is the one where you can be seen as the expert. You're the one that they go, oh, if Will says it, it's accurate. If Diane says it, it's accurate. Whatever that may be, you need to be seen as the expert. And then, of course, you can always use groups that you just want to see a lot of diversity in. And at that point, I would suggest that you join the E4E group. It's experts for entrepreneurs. Another area that you can use to your advantage is you can do a deep search in LinkedIn if you're looking for specific people, if you're looking for specific titles, all of those types of things. If you want to ask for an introduction, but again, be willing to make that introduction for people if you're asking for introductions. And you can private message them. I get asked all the time, okay, so LinkedIn compared to Facebook. Well, this is kind of how I describe it. Facebook, I can say, oh my goodness, you won't believe who I just had a Zoom call with. On LinkedIn, I would say, you wouldn't believe the privilege I had of having the Zoom call with. See, it's just a little different feel to it. But right now, people are kind of dropping down all of those guards and just enjoying the time. How many of you have a LinkedIn account that you use regularly? Just put it in the chat.
Colin says big time. Kathy says me.
Good.
Fad
Good.
says yes. Jeff Waple, yes.
Awesome.
Jeff
Good deal.
Doyle, yes. Sally, I have one, but use it sparingly. And Diane says I do, and I just secured 2 new clients through it.
Woohoo! That's what I want to hear.
Cindy, I have one, don't know how to use it.
Okay. Absolutely. And we're all across the board, but with any of it, I suggest everybody, there's a lot of different platforms and we're going to talk about a lot of them here, but to pick two that you can engage in. Now, I don't say not be on the others, but pick two that you're really going to market through and you're going to engage and you're going to stay connected with people, because two you can handle. When you start talking about the multitude of them, that gets a little overwhelming. Now, Facebook still reigns as the most popular social media network with 79% of internet users in the US. Nothing has changed. However, on Facebook, with the 2.23 billion that are on there, you can put posts out there. Now, I'm talking business. This is business I'm talking about. You can private message them. You can use Messenger. You can use bots. You can use videos. You can use stories. And I will tell you, stories is getting the greatest results at this point. And stories are just short, I call them snacks of information. But when it comes back to private messaging, if I get an invitation and it's just a blank invitation, you know, join this event, do this, do that, I may or may not join. It better be really, really compelling for me to join that. But if I get a private message that says, Karen, I want to personally invite you to this, I'm much more likely to jump on that and be a part of it. So if there are people you really want to stay in contact with, don't try to blanket message people. Do it as a private message. And messengers and bots are very, very popular. A bot just basically comes back and responds to people. I know you've seen them, where it might say, would you like to attend this event? And it gives you a choice of events. And it kind of makes you feel like you're having interaction with them personally, even though it is a robot that's doing that. Now, the average American internet user has 7.1 social media accounts. That's what I'm talking about. Use two very, very well, and let the others just be a place that you have information. Instagram has 1 billion, a billion. So if your target market's on Instagram, should you be on Instagram? Absolutely. Again, you've got a place for posts so you can get your information out there. But you've got to do on all of these, I call it seeding, taking time to build those relationships. You can private message people on Instagram. Again, you can do video, do stories. Those are where people start to get to know you better. They have to know, like, and trust you before they're going to do business with you. Now, how many of you use Twitter? Answer me if you use Twitter and if you like Twitter.
All right. Thad says, I post, but I don't follow. Kathy Sexton says, no. Jeffrey Wolf, I use and I like it. Jeff Waple, no, somewhat like it. Sally, I read it but barely use it. Diane, I have used it but don't like it. Tammy says, no, not at all. And Cindy says, no.
Okay, so see, we're all across the board there. It's very diverse. Now, I call it trendy Twitter because that's what I use it for. I use it to see the trends. Now, do I post to that? Yes. And a lot of my stuff gets shared, but I use it to see what's going on trend-wise. So if I'm writing a blog post or I have to talk about something or I want to do a Facebook Live, this gives me a lot of quick information of what's relevant right now. And so for some, they love Twitter. I'll have to tell you, it's my least favorite of all of them. But again, it's a matter of choice. Where do you want to spend your time? Where are your people hanging out and where are you willing to engage? Now, I'm on Alignable. Now, I've been on it for a long time, but I haven't really started using it till right before all of this happened. And what Alignable allows you to do, it's a free service. I mean, you can pay for their paid service if you want to. But what Alignable allowed me to do is to connect with people locally that I would never have an opportunity to connect with otherwise. We probably wouldn't be on LinkedIn together. I wouldn't have them as a friend on Facebook. So this just pops up and tells you who just came on Alignable in your area. So you can go in and ask them to connect. It's kind of the same thing. So it's just one more area to start to build, and you can get recommended on there. And so I kept getting a lot of recommendations, and it brings you to the top of their platform as well for getting that. And people see that you've been recommended. So it's another reason for them to reach out to you as well. So again, I don't want you spending all your time on social media or all these platforms. I want you to make sure that you know what's available to you and use what is best for your situation. Now, we know the best place is your email list, because even though it's my industry, do you know Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all of those could go away tomorrow. And there goes all your contacts and information. But the email list is your proprietary information. So please make sure you're building that list. Even if you're on the others, find a way to build this email list. Extremely important. It's so much value for your business. Quora.com is just a place that you can ask questions and you can get answers. And I've used Quora to find people that they're answering questions, and then I connect with them. So again, it's another place to get information or ask questions, because you've got to stay relevant. And so the information you're putting out there is relevant. Now, YouTube, there's 1.9 billion on YouTube. How many of you have a YouTube channel?
So let's see, Karen. As you know, I have 3 or 4 of them. Jeff Waifel, nope. Collins, think about it every day. Kathy Sexton, yes. Sally says no. Thad says yes, actively post videos. Cindy, no. Kelly, Fenton Chamber has a channel, but we do not have a whole lot of video content. And Diane says nope.
Okay, video is where it's at. I can't emphasize enough that this is where it's at. And even if you search for your own name or your own company, if there's video out there, that's what's going to come up first. So even if you're doing Facebook Lives, and convert them and put them on YouTube. Now let me explain the difference real quick. On a YouTube Live, the reason why Facebook loves that is because you're on their channel. You're not going someplace else. You're not leaving their platform to go someplace else. So they want to keep you there. So they give you more love if you do it native, the video or live, depending on what you're doing. But keeping that there means so much to Facebook, but that's short term. When you think about long term, it's putting on your YouTube channel. So make sure you're taking advantage of both. And I'm pointing at myself as well. I had really slacked off on that, and it's an area that I've got to put back in gear, because that's so much value. And the reason why I love YouTube as well is because if they're deciding if they're going to work with you, they're going to decide that by watching your videos. So that saves you time in the long run, because you're not doing a discovery call with someone that's not going to work with you. I use my mom for an example. I loved Zig Ziglar. Went to everything I could go to that had Zig Ziglar. And yet my mother just could not stand to hear him talk. And so no matter what he would have done in life, she would have not been his target market. However, no matter what he did in life, I wanted to be his target market. So just using it as a way to eliminate those that are never going to work with you as well. And I know, Will, you use YouTube extremely well. Any comments you want to make to that?
Well, it's the number 2 search engine. So I think if you put up a video and you put out a good description and a good title, you're going to get more eyeballs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Reddit. Reddit's just an American social news aggregation place. It has web contents and ratings and discussions. Now, I don't know a lot of people that are on Reddit, but again, it's one of those places to go look at content and see if you want to put a little emphasis on some of the things you're seeing on there. Now, Messenger has 1.3 billion. Messenger, I have to tell you, again, it's that personal contact. It's not the group, it's the personal that is moving people, especially friends and family that have no idea what you do. When you share with them a little bit, that helps move them into your ambassador category. They can share as well. And using those bots. Now, bots is a little deeper process. It's not something we can just explain on here, but they're being used, and they're being used to increase engagement and lead generation to a higher level. Now, Tumblr. How many of you have heard of Tumblr? There's 642 million on Tumblr.
So I've heard of it, but never used it. Jeff says the same thing. Heard of it, but don't use it.
Okay. Well, Tumblr is just a place it's a place to house articles. So there's articles about everything, and you can upload your articles to Tumblr as well. So it's one more place for you to be visible and be seen when people are looking for you. Again, it's that credibility that comes with that. Now, we know there are tons of doors right now that you're having to either open or close. With this COVID, we have to make decisions, but we still have to continue doing business. And it's how we do business and what we do in business. Now, some of you may be feeling overwhelmed and ready for a deeper dive. If you're feeling overwhelmed right now, but just in the chat real quick, tell me if you're feeling overwhelmed with all this that was just shared today.
All right. Thad says a little. Cindy says yes.
Okay.
Diane says all great info. Sally says, where do I start? With 2 question marks.
Okay.
Jeff Khalil says, let's go deeper.
Okay. Well, if you're ready for a deeper dive, I have a special that I'm offering here that is just, if you're getting started networking online, if you're unsure of what to expect, how to network online, unsure how to make the most of your online networking sessions, this event's for you. In this online webinar, we'll go over the online networking process, scripts to use when networking online. You customize them, but we start with a script. Best practices to make you stand out and network online with impact, and the practice of networking online together. Now, that's the link that you can get to it. I'm going to tell you a little bit more because we had something else I shared earlier. That event is 2 group sessions. It's a $100 discount for Fenton Chamber members. So it's only $47, but let me go back to the one where I talked about you could get the social media audit. That's usually $297. Now, the first 3 that email me, just email me, Karen@KarenTheConnector.com, will get a free audit, a free social media audit. So I'm going to go to the next one. I'll give you all the information. Here's the resources I've talked about so far today. And that's the KarenTheConnector.com. Grow is the perfect client list. If you want to sign up and try to be one of the first 3 for the audit, it's Karen@KarenTheConnector.com. And if you want to sign up, excuse me, for the sessions coming up for the deeper dive, it's KarenTheConnector.com/online networking. Now, Will, do we have any questions?
Let me see. If you have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll pitch them up to Miss Karen here. That's right. Everybody's busy typing at the moment, right? Or they're busy emailing you to try to get that free audit.
Could be.
Right? Could be. All right. Diane says, Karen, do we know what dates and times the seminar will be?
I'm going to set it 2 different times so that you'll be able to make one or the other.
Nice. Okay. Collins, what's the best way to develop a Twitter following?
To be on Twitter and start following others.
I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly says, what's the best way for people to determine which platform they should be using for their business?
You determine the platform by where your particular perfect client is hanging out. So you see where, of course, you look at, the age groups, you look at, where do they hang out? Where do they shop? What do they do? All the different things that go into choosing that perfect client. And where that perfect client is where you want to be.
All right. Who can help us with updating website design and coordinating social platforms? That's Cindy.
Okay, website design. Will is on here. He can take care of. The social media, I take care of.
Perfect. All right. Diane says, how many times per week should we post to Facebook? And is it okay to share our business page posts with other personal page posts? She tried to give me a tongue twister there.
Okay, let me answer what I think she said. Okay, as far as posting, I have found when it comes to Facebook, 3 times a week I have found is my perfect. Now I can add a few more in there, but that consistently posting 3 a week is where I'm finding the best for my clients. As far as, what was the other question? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Is it okay to share our business page posts
Oh.
on our personal page?
Yes, and I highly recommend that you take it from your business page, you put it on the business page first, and then share it to your personal page. Would I do that for all of the posts? No, but for posts where it has high value and something that you think that your regular profile friends would enjoy or need, that's the perfect place to put it.
I'd agree. I typically put business friends. This may be of interest to you, something like that.
Right.
Kelly says, so someone catering to senior citizens should not be on Snapchat, correct?
Correct. Or TikTok.
Or TikTok. Yep. I have a question around YouTube. What do you say to somebody who doesn't know how to get started on there?
Doesn't know how to get started on YouTube. Well, part of the thing that we'll be looking at is getting started on the YouTube, because if you're not, you have to be on the class that we're doing.
Okay.
But otherwise you can, let's face it, YouTube is the how-to place. You can always go there and how-to things.
Very good. That's all the questions I have right now, Karen.
Awesome. Well, I want to remind everyone about our virtual events. Kelly, you're on here. Why don't you unmute yourself and say something to everyone? Can you come off? Well, there we go.
Sorry, Karen, I was trying to unmute Will.
Well, jump up here and say something to us.
Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me, Karen?
Yes, beautiful.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate everybody coming on. Karen and I have been working to kind of get this all set up. We're trying to provide a little bit of value to the membership, even though we can't get together in person. We've got 3 more events this month. After today, obviously, the rest of the classes and the series of events will be on Wednesdays. We will have some in May as well, but we're not putting those up yet. But we welcome everyone to continue to join us and continue to engage with us during these virtual events.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Well, now to our audience, let's go back and find out real quick if you'll put in the chat what one thing really stood out for you in the presentation today.
All right, so Colin says, thank you for this nice presentation. Stay safe.
Oh, stay safe too.
See what else comes in. I'm going to have to go check out Tumblr because I have never really messed with it. So.
Oh, good.
Let's see. Kathy says I need to be more active.
Okay.
Well, now they're all flying in. Colin says alignable schedulers, Tumblr, YouTube.
Oh,
So just a couple things.
just a couple.
Thad says great tips. Facebook makes for great engagement. Sally says I loved all the info. I also need to get on LinkedIn regularly. Kelly says I appreciate the quick hitting topics with just enough information to get us started. Diane says, great information. I need a YouTube channel and not be so shy about video. Thank you for doing this.
Awesome.
So that's it.
Okay, awesome.
I agree with her. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. As long as you've found some value and content, I appreciate you taking your valuable time and spending it with us today. The Fenton Chamber would love to have you give your comments and thoughts and send what you think to Kelly, and we'll continue giving this great information. Like I said, Kathy's coming up next, and any of you that know her know she is amazing, and she's going to talk, of course, on productivity and keeping us de-stressed as we all need to be during this time, because we're all in this together. And then you've got Martin Kilgoyne coming in on Wednesday, April 22nd, and then none other than Will Hankey on Wednesday, April 29th. So again, thank you all so much. And Will, thank you for facilitating this for us today, and we most appreciate it. You all have a great day.
Karen, I have one last question. How can people
Sure.
follow you on social media?
Well, I'm a Karen the Connector on just about everything.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys.